What are your personal goals for 2025? Do you want to take the next step in your career? In this podcast, we will tell you how to achieve that.
Welcome to the Foojay Podcast, all your news about OpenJDK.
Welcome to the first Foojay Podcast of 2025. By now, you've likely had your year-end performance review with your manager and set some goals to advance this year. Are you ready to take your career growth into your own hands? I've invited 3 fantastic guests who are eager to share their experiences and help you elevate your professional journey.
I'm Rafael Del Nero, Java champion, and I have more than 15 years of experience as a software developer. And currently, I'm focused on mentoring Java developers to advancing their careers.
Hi everyone, my name is Moraes. I'm living here in Brazil, and my main target, my mission in my life is to help Java developers to build and deliver backend application, a lot of good availability and good also performance, so they can work on the best projects in the world. And I've been doing it both by doing developer advocacy and also mentoring individuals around the world.
Hey, hello everyone. So good to be here with you. And I think we're all here to help you grow your career and advance to the next step. I've been doing this for, almost 30 years now. And I've been doing a lot of things in terms of Java. I'm part of the JCP. I've built the Java Groups community. And I'm also heavily involved with open source. And I'm here to help you out.
All 3 of you really spend a lot of time on helping other people to evolve your career. What is the motivation of doing this?
At some point in my life, I realized that I spent too much time by trying and failure. So I spent time, I spent money, I missed a lot of opportunities that I could have taken before. So at some point, I decided to help others to not spend that much time just by failing and trying. So that's why I start mentoring people so that I can help them to just that growing on their careers. So that's why I started doing that.
Well, for me, a little story here. I try to do it short, but many years ago, I had a big fight with my dad. Right, so I wanted to. My dad wanted me to focus on university and, get a degree and then, and do all that. And I start working on actually with my dad, I was working since I'm a kid. And when I went to university, I started working in the first month, and my dad was totally against that. And so at some point we had a big fight and, ugly fight and all that. We know how teenagers are, right? So I was very stupid at the time. Oh, yeah. And so in the middle of the fight, the phone rang, right? And, the guy on the other side said, Bruno, Sun Microsystems is looking for a trainee. And they said that if you want the position, it's yours. And so at that moment, right, it's still really mad at me. My father sat down his computer to help me write my resume. Mm-hmm. And so a month later, I was at Sun. And, and then 1 week after I joined Sun, the first public demonstration of Java came about. And, fast forward 30 years later, you have the Java man focus on Java and doing lots of things of Java. And when I look back, I see that my father at that moment, he had all the power to just say, no, if you go work for Sun, if you get this job, I'm not going to help you anymore. And he didn't, right? He actually helped me to do what I wanted, although it was against what he wanted. And by the way, he was right? Lots of things that he said is going to happen. All the problems he said is going to happen. It did happen. Mm-hmm. And so very, very early on, I realized that, my job is to help other people achieve what they want and make sure that they can get to their dreams and they can achieve their dreams. And so I do everything I can to make that happen.
Rafael, you have a story like that?
Yeah, in my case, back in the days when I was an intermediate developer, I was focusing a lot on on technologies in general. I was studying a lot of them, and I noticed that people with similar technical skills than me, they were earning the double, the triple, the quadruple of my salary. And then I noticed, okay, there's definitely something wrong here. And back in the days, I had the fixed mindset, which I thought I couldn't grow in other skills. I thought I would be good technically, but I would never excel in other areas of my life because that was my personality and there was nothing I could do. Like it was like living in a prison, right? But then I noticed that I could improve my other skills. I could improve my communication skills. I could improve any other skill I wanted, any other soft skill I wanted. And I noticed that what I was lacking was those soft skills from my colleagues. Like they were a lot better than me on those skills of communicating better, negotiating better. They were better on sharing their knowledge as well, not publicly within the company. And that made them a reference. And they grew a lot faster than me. They got promotions, and naturally they were earning a lot more than me. And then I noticed, okay, I can do something to improve those skills. And then I say, okay, if I was stuck in this thing here and I was in this prison and I had no idea I could grow, I could go to the next level. Now I want to help other developers to work on their soft skills so that they can advance their careers.
Yeah, I heard from Java or other software developers that they started doing software development because they didn't want to speak to people. They just wanted to work, which is, in my opinion, a really bad idea because, as you mentioned, it's not your technical knowledge that will get you involved in your career. There's more than just your technical knowledge. How important is it to learn other skills and to maintain other skills?
Many of us got tricked with the idea that, you go into software development, you go deal with machines, right? And then we all forgot that software is developed by people, for people. It's marketed by people, it's used by people, and so it's people all the way down, right? And so at some point we all had to learn that, okay, so we have to talk with people, we have to deal with that. And, some people learn how to do it, like Rafael was talking about. You learn these skills, you learn how to do it, and some people just kind of put their hands down in the sand and thinking that, no, I'm just going to talk to the machines, and then they end up stuck at some point.
Yeah. If I look at all three of you, so you help people with evolving their career. How do you do that? Do you help them with a call? Do you have an interview? Do you write blogs? I know you, like you, Rafael, you have a lot of videos that you publish on your YouTube channel. What are the concrete things that people can do to get into contact with you and others who do mentoring to get this kind of help?
In my case, I share knowledge on YouTube. I'm writing, in average, one article a month for InfoWorld. And so all my content is focused on Java career. So I talk about the pain points of Java developers, where they are making a mistake. And I also talk about their main aspirations on what they really want in their careers. So I basically focus my content on that. So, for example, the series you participated, Java Rockstar Career. So it's a way to show top Java developers how to get there, how to be a reference or how to advance in their careers. So I share content on YouTube, and I also do the mentoring. And the mentoring is basically a 3-month program. So I do the mentoring on Zoom. And so a mentorship is different than a course because it's a conversation with them. So I go deep into their career challenges, understand what is going on, what is preventing them to go to the next level. And there could be many things. Could be maybe fear of talking to their bosses, fear of losing their jobs, fear of trying to do interviews because they might get rejected. They might think, I'm not good enough. Always when you get rejected in interviews, you have this feeling that you're not good enough. It's a horrible feeling. And also consistency. Consistency is the biggest key for success in anything we do. Obviously, you need consistency and strategy, right? And that's the first thing I do in mentorship. I help them to find clarity on what are their next career steps. Because once they know where they are going, then it's just a matter of being consistent. Obviously, to be consistent, you need a lot of things under the hood. You need to have also a good mindset, because you're going to fail, you're going to face obstacles. There will be days you won't feel like it doing what you planned, and that's normal. Like, motivation takes you so far, but after that, it's discipline. If you don't have discipline, it's very difficult to achieve what you want. I talk a lot about that, about consistency in my mentorship. So it's a lot about accountability, overcoming their fears, overcoming their career challenges. And I also have my course, like if they want to get started and learning the foundation of how to advance in their Java career, they can start with the course, and then they can go with a more advanced mentorship program.
Bruno, what's your approach of doing mentoring?
Yeah, so a lot of it, it's about listening, right? So kind of answering your two last questions, a big mistake that I make a lot, and I still make this to this day, is thinking that I can do things alone, right? And, when I used to give career talks with Edson Yanaga many years ago, and we had a slide in our talk that's like this famous, I think it's an African saying that says, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together, right? And career is a long run, right? So career is a far thing. Career is not a short thing, and so and for me, many times I think I can just go and do things myself and just kind of focus on me working. And many times I forgot to that talking with other people, discussing with other people is such an amazing thing, right? So, for example, me and Elder. Me and Rafael, we talk a lot, right? Especially with Elder, because we have this group that we talk almost every day. And so doing things together makes a big difference, right? And, that just happened to me this week. I was struggling with something here that I've been trying to do for a while. And, I can't move, didn't know exactly how to move and everything. So I messaged my, I kind of finally realized, oh, man, I'm trying to do it alone again, right? And then I messaged the group of ex-Sun employees, right? And I said, hey, guys, is there anyone that knows about this here? And so, a few minutes later, someone said, yeah, I can talk to you this afternoon. And we had a great conversation, just kind of clear out my mind, and I started doing things that need to be done. And so working with people together is a big thing. And so, to what Rafael was talking about in terms of mentoring, right? It's a lot about listening, right? Understanding what people are, understanding what's going on, understanding really what problems they have, and then working together to do this, right? And I think that's for me. I do hire several mentors. I also mentor many people, and for me the big thing is that you go a course, you watch some videos, and it's not exactly what you're doing. It doesn't. I mean, you hear the message, and so I know how to do that. Yeah, it's like I can follow that, but then I don't, because I'm afraid, because I have a question that I don't know how to solve, and I'm stuck of not doing like consistent, like how I was talking about. When I'm mentoring, you can really work on those things, right? Because it's not only what you have to do; it's about understanding how to do it and how to do in our current situation, right? Because it's so easy. I was talking to my mentees this week, and someone said to me, "Oh, Bruno, because that happened and that happened and that happened. That's why I didn't do anything." And I said, "Yes, things happen in life every single day, right? And the worst excuses are not the fake excuses. Those are easy to deal with. The worst excuses are the real ones, right? I didn't do this because those things happen. Yes, I know, right? And that's a true thing. That's a real thing. But if you think about your job, for example, right? You go to work every single day. Doesn't matter what happens. You do your work and you might spend 8-10 hours every day in your job. It doesn't matter if you have problems at home. It doesn't matter if you're sick. It doesn't matter if if you feel a little sad today, or if you don't feel like working. It doesn't matter. You just go and you do it every single day, right? But then when you get to our careers, anything that happens, like, I couldn't do this because of that. Oh, I couldn't do this because of that. Oh, I wasn't feeling well. I wasn't feeling motivated, right? And so we have to learn, and that's the thing, right? So when you're talking to someone or discussing things, when you're going deep on what's going on, you actually listen to people, understand what's going on, then it makes a big difference, because now we can deal with the real problems, right? Because the real problems are very hardly what appears to be, right? It's always something behind the scenes, always something that's not clear, right? And then so when you go deep, we discuss things, we understand. That one makes a big difference.
So can we conclude, Elder, that every mentor also needs a mentor himself, and that you're the mentor of Bruno?
Bruno is my mentor.
Or vice versa, yes.
I'm his mentee. When you have a mentor that doesn't have a mentor, question it. Because a good mentor have a mentor as well. So I know that Bruno has a mentor. I know that Rafael has a mentor. So every single time that you are trying to learn with someone, it's very important that this person also is learning from someone. We all are at some point of growing stuff. So for me, it's super important that my mentors also have their mentors, so that I can learn from them.
If you're growing in your career, in a lot of companies, you're almost forced to turn from a developer into a team lead or a project manager but those are completely different ways of working. Can you still be a developer when you retire and achieve a higher level, or do you have to go into another role?
You can be a developer even if you go into management, right? I always mention this boss that hired me for Sun, and he was a great boss. He was a manager, right? He didn't work in any technical things anymore. He was a man. I mean, he was technical in the past, and he was a developer, right? To this day, I have his wife's Dr. T's or something like this. That it's a whole software, like a very, very sophisticated software. It's a 3D application that you get movies, right? And then you import the movie into the application, and you connect the dots on people, so you can register movements. It's a whole thesis on how to preserve dances and soccer kicks and all of these for posterity, right? And so you got like a 2D movie, and then you mark the person, and then you can see in all 3D directions. Very sophisticated software that was done when Java was in the very beginning, right? He's talking about Java 1.1, 1.2, and Newton was doing that software, right? So he was a manager that he did software every single day because it was something that he wanted to do, right? And so, and he built that amazing, very sophisticated solution, all of that, and that runs to this day, by the way, right? Thanks to the power of Java, and so I think that you can do, right? And when you get to this level that Elder was talking about, right? Then you get to the senior level, and then you have to do the next step, right? And there are a few things that you can do, and some of them are less technical, some of them are more technical. I always say there's like five paths that you can grow beyond senior, right? And so, and yeah, some of those paths are technical paths, right? That you can be very, very technical, and you can continue to go deep into technology. But at the same time, if you want to cause a bigger impact, and if you want to have more autonomy, right, you have to have those skills that Rafael was talking about, right? You have to have negotiation skills. You have to have leadership skills. Because there's no way for you to have a larger impact if you're just yourself into a bunker, right? So someone else has to create this impact for you, right? And so yeah, as you get to a point where, I think that many times, and that's a question we get a lot from developers, is that, okay, so now that I want to grow, but my company wants me to do other things. It's not only development, right? And though the question is, do you want to cause a bigger impact? because if you lead a team, for example, and you can be the most technical person in that team, by the way, you can really be doing, but if it's a team, the impact is larger than your own impact, right? If you go to a role where you become, instead of a developer, let's say you become an architect, and then you define the architecture for the whole company, your impact is way larger than the impact of you writing a code. If you go even deeper than that, and you do like Rafael is doing, that you participate in a standards process like the JCP, right? And then your impact is even larger, right? Because now you're defining the standard that impacts millions of developers all over the world, right? And so, if you do what Elder is doing, right, that you become an evangelist, and that you not only get people to think different and use new technology, but you also get your company to improve the things, right? Again, you impact millions of people. And so you get to a point where our technical skills can give us a larger impact, right? And that's even true for open source. You go do an open source project, then your impact is much larger. But on open source project, it's not only the technology. It's not only writing code. You have to discuss with other people. You have to participate on that. There is politics around it, right? There's even problems, right? So I was talking in December with Christian Grobmeier, right? That's an open source developer, vice president of Apache, and Christian is one of the developers for Log4j, right? And he was explaining to us what happened when there's this huge security breach on Log4j that impacted people all over the world, right? So the developers had to deal with that. Had to answer those questions, had to fix the code, and at the same time work with everyone to actually make it. So those are not only development skills, right? Those are people skills. Those are negotiation skills. So if you want to have a bigger impact, you have to go beyond the technology.
What changed a lot in my career was that indeed I joined an open source project, Java on the Raspberry Pi, Foojay library, started writing about it, started communicating, as you said, Rafael. So started writing content, going to JUGs. All these, can they help others too? So joining I think all three of you are part of SouJava, the Brazilian JUG.
Yes, I'm actually have the T-shirt right
now. How can a JUG help you as a Java developer? Then specifically, how can that help you in your career?
As soon as I joined SouJava, like in 2016, I believe, once I met Bruno the first time, started a project that by that time we called Java EE, the next frontier, because we were about to release the Java E8 version, and we decided to interview a lot of people involved on the Java E8 build, the whole specification, the whole implementation stuff. And I used to say that, for example, if I try to interview Reza Rahman, Adam Bean, and all the people, David De La Bassi, and all the people involved with Java E, by just saying, "Hey, I'm Elder, let me interview you," they probably, I don't know, maybe they are good enough to give that time for me, but it's not the same approach to do by that time. Hey, I'm Elder from SouJava, and we are interviewing a lot of people. So when you have this power of community behind you, it's kind of multiply your results, because when you are in a group that have the same challenge, the same desires, everyone is getting together, it's increasing the skills of everyone and the results of everyone in the same group. So that's why we used to say that when you would like to go fast, you go alone. And I used to say that if you would like to go faster and farther, you go with a group, because you commit less mistakes and you can learn from each other. You can learn faster. You have the whole experience of the whole group. So my story with SouJava is incredible, because I owe a lot of my results to this amazing group. So that's why I really believe on building communities.
I'm gonna tell the first story. Like before, getting a job here in Dublin, because my career dream was to move abroad to Europe and get a job as a Java developer. And by being part of SouJava, I could meet the JUG leader from JUG before coming here to Dublin. And that was great. That was amazing, because like when I was in São Paulo, I already sent an email to the JUG leader from here. I offered help to them, like with, maybe finding speakers or giving a lightning talk. And in the first week I was here in Dublin, I already met them. So I met Barry Alistair and Barry Evans. And then it was very good for me, because I started getting involved in the Java user group from Dublin. And I even volunteered to work for them, to help them to build their website. And without SouJava, for sure, I wouldn't meet them like the way I did. I wouldn't know them before coming to Dublin. So, and besides that, like I met so many amazing people within SouJava, like Bruno, Helder, Otavio, amazing people, amazing Java references. And, that's the power of community. We learned so much with, those amazing people in the community. And yeah, I got involved in JUG, and it helped me a lot to get my first job. Also, SouJava opened the doors for me to participate on JCP as executive member. So it's really good to be close to what's going on with the newest Java versions, like how the community can impact with the future of Java. So like, I wouldn't be able to do that without SouJava. It would be almost impossible. And like that's the power of community.
There's an interesting story that's I want to tell two stories here. One that was about Rafael, one is about Frank, right? So and Elder already told you one. When Rafael, this whole thing about community, right? So when Rafael gave his first presentation in an event, right? It was not on a stage. It was just like in a table in the corner, right? And the other day we found a picture of that, and Rafael was giving a talk to maybe like 5 or 6 people, right? Sitting down at a table, and then around Rafael, right? You can see in the picture 5 or 6 Java champions or future Java champions, right? And so that's the power of community. When you're working with people, right? That have achieved that are trying to achieve, they're trying to grow. What happens that impulsionates you to grow and to do things, right? And so we're looking at that picture the other day, right? Rafael was pretty funny. They said, "Man, look at this! Look how many Java champions around you, and you didn't even realize that at that time, right?" And so, and that's what we want. That's what a Java user group can do with you, is help you be together with people that want to grow, right? Because once you're there, makes a big difference. And it's all about this whole notion of community, of meeting people. I love online. I love that we're doing here. I love that we can reach a lot of people. But even better than that, it's actually meeting people in person. It makes such a big difference. And so a couple of years ago, I was participating here on this podcast, Frank. I'm not sure if you remember that, but we had a conversation. One of the things that we talked about, because I was getting ready to go to Europe and visit several user groups, right? And because of that podcast, several user groups reached out to me and said, "Oh, you're coming to Europe." And so my trip extended, and I visited a lot more user groups because we were able to find even more people, because they heard from you here in this conversation that was going to happen. And so that's what we when we're in a community, everyone's talking to each other, people are meeting and conversation sharing, right? And so that's it, right? I shared that I was gonna travel, and that created even more opportunities for that trip, right? And so when we share things and we share with each other, and we get together, right? And by getting together, we can all grow. So from that trip, I've met several people that today are my mentees, and some of them have achieved amazing results already, right? And so, one of the guys that I met in that trip, that became my mentee, he was telling me the other day that he participated in 14 events, right, this past year. Because he starts to speak more and go to place and all that. So and so I think that's the power, right? That's the power of communities, the power of working with people that want to grow. It's being together with people that want to do the next step, and that helps you do the next step.
Okay. You mentioned being a Java champion. We're with 4 of them in this podcast. For some Java developers, that's the final goal. That's something they want to reach. Is it a good objective, or should it just happen? What is the goal of becoming or being a Java champion?
So let's revert this a little bit, right? Because as you said, there's 4 Java champions here. So for you, Frank, how important was for you to become a Java champion?
Well, it happened because one of the other guests here nominated me. Thank you, Rafael. It happened only last year or the year before. So I already evolved my career. So it was just an acknowledgement of what I did the years before. Will it influence my career? I don't know, because I'm not looking for a next step at this moment. So yeah, it's definitely that you get recognized by the other champions. If it's really something that evolves your career, I'm not sure. I cannot say that. I think you can, all 3.
Well, I think that's what you just said, something very important, right? That's the Java champion is recognition of what you already did, right? So it's not really. That's why I tell this to lots of people that ask me this, right? Is that you should not aim to become a Java champion. What you should aim is to do the things that allow you to be recognized as a Java champion, because those things are the things that are going to make a difference. Is when you share your knowledge, is when you participate on user groups, when you lead a project, right? When you get involved, when you do all those things, those are the things that will get you to become a Java champion. But those are the things that are actually going to change your career. And so for me, the Java champion label, let's say, or recognition, is maybe the cherry on the top, right? It's like, you already did that, you grew your career, because you're doing those things, and then not only that you did those things, but other people recognize that you did those things, and then kind of recognize that on you, right? It's like an Oscar, right? The Oscar might even give you another opportunity, right? If you get an Oscar, you might be called to another movie, right? Becoming a Java champion might be called to another company. That's great, right? But the Oscar is a culmination, right? So you did lots of things, you improve it, you did things, and then you win that recognition. That's what a Java champion is.
Becoming a mentor means that you spend time on your mentees. So if someone has already a busy job and he has a lot of experience, so he has a lot of work in his company, why should they become a mentor of their colleagues or other people? Isn't it just another few hours per day or per week that you need to spend?
Well, in my perspective, it's one of the responsibilities of a senior software developer. And you don't need to use this time necessarily outside of your 9-to-5 job. You can mentor less experienced developers within your work time. And if you want to expand more than that, then you can participate in Java communities, you can give talks, you can, write an article, create a video, or anything that will inspire other Java developers. This is a way to be a mentor as well. You don't need necessarily to talk directly with the person. Like if you create meaningful content for them to grow in their careers, that's a way to be a mentor. But I would also say that for a senior software developer or even an intermediate software developer, it's very important to help less experienced developers, to learn faster or even to improve their soft skills, because I know this is highly neglected by the vast majority of developers, like me. I was one of those developers. I thought that all of the soft skills were useless. That was my thought. And I know that many developers think like me in the past. And as a mentor, as a more experienced developer, it's very important to teach them also the soft skills, not only the technical skills. So, like the technical skills are crucial. You need to have it, otherwise you're not a software developer. But if you combine with soft skills, it's like creating a super powerful career. Mm-hmm. Like if you know a little bit about soft skills, you don't need to know everything about soft skills, because we are software developers. Like it's difficult to be as good with soft skills with someone who works directly with sales, for example, or other areas where they are in contact with people all the time. But if you know a little bit about soft skills, you're going to become a lot better. You're going to become that developer that has a lot more visibility, who can negotiate the top salaries, the best salaries in the market. You're going to become that developer who can empower other developers to do better. Mm-hmm. And so the role of a senior developer is very important in that area, because I had so many mentors helping me to get better technically. I had many senior developer mentors, and that's part of their jobs. That's part of our jobs as developers. And the other benefit of a senior developer being a mentor is that you fill out the gaps, because sometimes a junior developer asks you something that seemed very basic, and then you realize, wow, I don't know exactly the answer. And then you're going to research the subject, and then you can explain to the junior developer, and you learn so much. So it's a learning process for both, for the senior developer and for the junior developer. Mm-hmm. So it's crucial. Developers must mentor other developers.
So if you are a senior developer and you have juniors in your team and you become their mentor, will it at the end not make your life even easier if you guide your juniors to become better in their job in the team, if they better know what tools you're using? So I guess at the end, if you're a good mentor, that your team also becomes better.
Exactly that. They will create better code. You're going to need to give them less feedback. And they're going to produce, they're going to produce better quality code. They're going to deliver more. Soon enough, they're going to be mentoring other developers.
I think it's like many things in our careers, right? So, you might be mentoring people to exactly all those reasons you're talking about, right? To improve the team, to learn more, because there's no doubt that when you mentor people, you learn a lot, right? There's lots of things. The biggest skill for mentoring is listening to people, and that's exactly saying the most important skill for a leader also, right? So, you improve in a lot of ways. But then you might get to a point where this it's actually causing so much transformation. That's what happened with me, right? I work for Sun. I do have a consulting company, right? So I've writing lots of code and all that, but I was mentoring people through all those time, right? And then the more I did that, the more the results that people were having, because I was helping them out, because I was mentoring them, the impact on the user groups, the impact on people becoming speakers and open source developers, all that was so big that I realized that the impact I was having in mentoring people was larger than the impact I had writing code. And so at some point I made a switch to actually spend more time, and eventually my full time doing this to actually help people to advance, because the impact that I have today is so much larger, right? Than actually you're seeing here, right? So because I help Elder, because I help Rafael, they are now Java champions, and Rafael helped you, so now you are a Java champion, right? And so so the impact that this causes ends up being that's a decision. I think that's in our lives are like this, right? At some point we realize that we have more results, we have more impact, we have more even more salary, right? Doing the things that we know how to do very well, instead of trying to do things that other people can do better than you, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's even a possibility. And for me, Frank, I think that when you get to the senior level, you get like 15, 20 years of developer career, you should start looking at what is, how do you get the maximum autonomy, the maximum impact that you can have in your career. And many times this is going to be, building your own company, building your own product, building your own service, because then you can have full autonomy to do what needs to be done, right? You don't depend on companies' decisions. You don't depend on the time that someone else allocates for you, anything like this. You get full autonomy, and then you go do the thing that cause the most impact for you and your family and everyone around you.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned salary. We didn't mention that before. We were only talking about knowledge and impact and getting recognition, but salary increases. Is it right that you have to change company if you want a significant salary increase? I heard it's easier to change company than go in your existing company and ask for a salary increase. How is this related with how good you are in your job or how good you can communicate?
One thing that I think a lot, right, is that when you just use the right phrase, you say it's easier. It's easier to get another company, right? Because, if someone else wants you and to take you from your job to their companies, right? There's a risk involved. So that risk, there is a salary increase, right? And because it's easier, people shy away from the confrontation of negotiating salary where they are. So I think it's possible. I have a mentee that has this crazy story, right? And he even told in a presentation some time ago, where he was working for a company, and he and his wife, they're not going along very well. So he realized they're gonna get divorced, right? And so his thinking was, okay, so if we divorce it, my son will have to live with half my income. And so what he did in 6 months, he doubled his salary without changing companies, without changing positions.
Oh, how do you do that?
Right? So that's but that's the point, right? So once you see the reason, when you see the needs for it, right? And then you're gonna get out of your comfort zone of I'm not gonna negotiate. I'm not going to put myself in this confrontation mode. I'm not going to improve myself. I'm just going to do my job. Right. And so you put yourself in a position that, I don't need to do anything. And then when someone else makes the effort, because it's not you, right? Someone else do all this for you, right? They come to you, mm-hmm. and they take you out of your company. They create discomfort. They create conflict for you. And then they offer a larger salary. So you just wait for that. My point is, if we're just going to be waiting, then we're not going to increase our salary. No matter because no other company is going to take us out, our company is not going to increase us. So we have to take control of our careers, and we have to decide that is something I want to do, and I'm going to figure out what kind of conflict I need to create, what kind of discomfort I'm willing to do, what kind of thing I need to learn to do those things. I'm just showing that those things are possible, but I do understand why people prefer to not do it.
Some companies, because people are used to, we have an open position, then we'll try to reach that position. We have this plan for growing the career, so let's try to build. But in some situations, there are companies that expect you to force this. So, for example, here in my team, we never have open positions, but we do have people that are getting increase in salaries, that are getting promotions, because we are forcing that. So it's important to create I love this story of this kind of divorce, not because I love the divorce, but because I love this situation to force people to get action, to get on action, to get on moving. Because we all here believe that we have good jobs, not Bruno, because Bruno has his own job, but we have good salaries, we have good lives, we are in a, so it's so easy to get comfortable, to get used to the stuff. That's why I am always seeking for the next level, seeking for the next challenge, that's why I created my own mentorship. Beside my company, beside my daily job, I create a new business because I need to this kind of new stuff to get me out of my comfort zone, because it's so easy to get comfortable.
So, yeah, this is so important because many times we can put ourselves in discomfort, right? Or by not doing anything, we just walk into a really bad situation that's going to be discomfortable anyway, right? And so, I remember when I was working at Sun, and I joined Sun as a trainee, as I said, and then after some time, when I was incorporated, I'm not sure that's the word, right? So I was like officially hired for Sun. My salary was very small, and so one day my wife come to me and said, "Look, let me show you something here, right?" So she put all the numbers down. She says, "Here's your salary. Here's how much money we spend. Here's how much the school for your kid cost, right?" So she said, "Can you see anything wrong here, right?" And that forced me to do exactly what Elder's talking about. So I actually go discuss with my boss and negotiate with my boss. And it was a lot easier than expected. Right? So when I went to negotiate, they were expecting me to negotiate, right? Because they're not going to do anything by themselves. But the moment I start negotiating, I have another situation. A mentee of mine was telling me, he was right before he became my mentee, and he was telling me that, he had this problem because he was working. He moved to another country, and he was working for a company, and he was making less money than his expenses, right? And so basically I told him, said, "Man, this is wrong, right? You cannot be paying to work. You have to fix that." And said, "Oh, so that's why I'm trying to look for another job." I said, No. Looking for another job is a good thing. I'm not saying not, right? But right now, you need to discuss with your boss. Because if you don't discuss with your boss right now, and he was in a special situation because he was in a small company, so his boss was like one of the founders of the company, right? Like the CTO kind of thing, right? And so I told him, I said, "No, we're gonna talk to your boss today." And so he did. He reached out to his boss. I think he met his boss the next day, and he told this to his boss. And his boss was like, no, this is wrong. Of course it was wrong, right? And so his boss recognized it was wrong. And his boss said, "Look, we're going to increase your salary right now." And he said, "But now it's too late for us to do anything for this month. So I'm gonna transfer money from my personal account to your account right now. And then for the next month, we're going to fix that." And that's something I'm not so every company does. I'm not saying every company does that, but really it's on the interest of the company that you stay. If you leave, it's a big problem for the company, right? It's hiring someone else, training someone, getting someone up to speed. It's a big problem. So for me, I always say this, like, as professionals, we have some responsibilities. And the number one responsibility that we have is to want to stay. Because everything else comes from that, because I want to stay. I'm not going to be doing a good job if I want to leave, right? So my first responsibility with my company is to want. I'm not saying that I can't leave. If I receive another offer, that's amazing. That's okay. It makes sense, right? But my main responsibility is to want to stay. And for me to want to stay, I should be working on interesting things. I should have a good salary. I should have good benefits. Because if I don't have those things, I have pressure from my family that's, oh man, maybe you should not be working with this company. I have pressure for myself. I don't like what I'm doing, right? I have pressure for my customers that, you're not doing a good job. I have pressure for my boss. So I'm not going to want to stay. So it's our job. Guys, do not run away from conflict. Do not run away from negotiation. It is your main job to negotiate your way into wanting to stay where you are. And if you do that, then your career is going to be great because you're going to negotiate you want to stay. And for someone to take you out of that, they need to offer a big thing, right? And so when everyone wants you, you're in the best position ever.
I really love this message. So maybe we should set this as the goal for 2025 is dare to ask to your current employer if you want to change something, being your salary, being your responsibilities, being the job description, whatever it is within your company that you're not happy with, just ask for a change. And I think that could be already a first step in evolving your career, correct?
For sure. It would be a great step. A good question to ask your boss is ask your boss, hey boss, what do I need to do? Who I need to be to guarantee that I'm involved in the most important project for the company?
Indeed, a very nice one. Maybe you all have a tip like that, Ender?
I remember a story about Loiane Groner, another Java champion, a friend of us here, and she said that she's living in the United States. She has a great job, so on. But once before going to the United States, when she was still living in Brazil, in a one-on-one session, she kind of said that she would like to move to the United States. And then he said, but you never told me that you would like to move to the United States. Oh, yeah, because I have this kind of objective and target and so on. So let's work on that. So her boss, her, and then in 1 year, United States. And the point of his story is sometimes we don't have the results because we don't share our targets, our dreams. So if you never told your boss that you have an increase, that you have a promotion, you have another position, that you would like to work on that project, maybe they are not moving you to that position because you never shared it. So we need to, and I know that some companies don't have this culture of having one-on-one sessions. If that's your case, ask for it. Hey, boss, I would like to have 15 minutes with you, 30 minutes with you, once a week or once in another week, I don't know. But we need to ask for stuff that we want, because once we ask, people will told us what we need to do to reach that. Okay, so for that position, you need to be this person. Or for that project, you need to know this stuff. So we need to ask and then you shall have it.
I'm sure you have it, indeed.
And asking for 15 minutes makes a big difference. That's what I did this week, right? So I asked for 15 minutes and end up like talking like 40 minutes with this guy that really helped me out. I have an interesting story about that, right? So Vinicius Sanger, right? So, also a guy that helped us in SouJava. He's on Amazon right now, and he's a Java champion, all that. And so Vinicius, few years ago, right? When James Gosling is still working for Amazon, Vinicius like, oh man, because I really want to talk to James Gosling here at Amazon, and I would love him to mentor me, right? And so we were kind of working. Okay, so what do we need to talk? And I said, okay, so ask for him for 5 minutes. Ask for him for whatever time he has, right? And so he did that. So he sent a message saying, if he could talk to James Gosling, like, for 15 minutes, so he could mentor and if he had like 15 minutes on his week or something like this. And then James said, oh yes, we really should do that, but bump that to an hour. Right. And so then, Vinicius had this like every week, 1 hour conversation with James Gosling, so ask for what you want. Right. But also, try to make it easy for the other person to say yes.
You have to be vocal. Because if you don't say what you want, people will decide whatever to you. So if you never tell your boss, how can you create a plan to get to where you want? Sometimes there are some companies that they have some policies. Sometimes it's difficult to negotiate. They're going to say, the maximum I can increase here is 15%. That happened to me already. And I had to move to another company. So on those cases where you don't get what you want from the conversation with your boss, it's a good strategy to also look for another job in the market. It doesn't mean that you won't do your best in your current position. You're going to keep doing your best, delivering high quality code. You're going to keep striving to take your project to success. But you have to realize that in some companies, things might not work out. And you need to always think about the big picture. Like the big picture could be in your job. You could do your career in your job. If you have the support of your manager. But if this doesn't happen, you can't say, oh, it's my boss' fault that I can't grow in my career. No, you're responsible for that.
Yeah.
You have to know what is going on in the market. You have to know how to pass in the Java interviews. You need to know what they are asking, what the market wants from you. Technology, you need to learn how you should behave in an interview. Because if you don't have the support from your company, you have to make your career work. Your manager is not responsible for your career. And I made this mistake myself because I was waiting for my manager to give me a promotion. And he's not responsible for my career. I'm responsible for my career. It's the same thing for other Java developers. And I'm totally in favor of staying in the job if possible, because it's much better, right? It's a much better position to, earn a better salary, or maybe changing conditions, working remotely, or having more free time for your family in your own job to negotiate that directly in your job. That's much better, a much better position. But sometimes things don't work out. And I think the main lesson is to realize that the developer is responsible for their careers, and they have to, if necessary, to be ready to get another job in the market.
This whole thing about taking responsibility, I heard from Henrique from Oracle at the last the developers conference event, and he said a phrase that kind of shows this very well. He says, you don't have what you want, you have what you negotiate. And so that is something that we have to think about, right? So, if you want something, you have to go and negotiate, otherwise you're not going to get anything.
Yeah, it's indeed your manager who decides if you get it, but what you want, what you get is what you ask for.
And let me tell you one thing, Frank. It's, very careful with this idea that it's your manager that decides. It's usually not your manager. It's the manager of your manager, or the manager of the manager of your manager, right? And your skip manager or your skip manager. Those are the people that decide. So if they don't hear about you, both Rafael and Aldo talk about, speaking and sharing. If those people are not hearing about you, and they don't know who you are, and they don't know what you want, if you're a skip manager, it's not talking about you to his manager, right? Then you're not going to get anything, because usually your manager, your boss, does not have that direct power.
And in the company when I work, for example, I'm a principal. I'm a position as a principal, and to get up to the senior principal, not my boss, not the boss of my boss. It's a committee that will approve my promotion or not. So I need to be known by this committee to be approved. So we need to bring my case to this committee so I get approved to that position. So that's why it's so important that your message, your name, it's been talking to people around the company.
So we're back to the social skills and how important they are. You cannot be just a
Yeah.
programmer.
So in one interesting way that you guys can actually do a little of that, right? So I got together with Heather Vancouver, right? That's the head of the JCP, right? So she's the head of the PMO of the JCP, and like a person that's not only she has to deal with those kind of things, negotiation, all that, but she has to negotiate with big companies and discuss all the ideas of the future of Java. So we got together and we wrote this book called the Developer Career Master Plan that has 15 steps, and we tell exactly what you need to do and all the skills and how to acquire them, and to help you achieve all those skills. And and we talk about negotiation, we talk about management, we talk about speaking and user groups, talk about all those things. So we were able to get with Pact Publishing that you guys can get the first chapter for free. And the first chapter is a great chapter because it talks about learning and skills and how to acquire all those things, right? So it's a very, very, very good chapter. And so if you want to do that, it is on careermasterplan.dev, right? So if you go right now to careermasterplan.dev, you get the first chapter for free. And another thing you're gonna get is an email from me with the chapter. So if any question that we have about your career that we didn't cover in this talk here, you can just reply to that email and I'll help you out.
Yeah, and that could be the start of the changes for 2025 in your career. Okay, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining this recording, for sharing all your knowledge and being mentors. Very important. And I'm sure you all influenced a lot of people and helped a lot of people. So hope to see you again in one of the next podcasts. And maybe you have still a message to share.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for listening to us. Thanks, Frank, for the invitation. Thanks, Elder. Thanks, Rafael. And hopefully I'm gonna meet you three here, but also you that's listen here somewhere around the world this year. So hope to see you in 2025.
Yeah, do a world tour again.
Yes.
Invitation and everyone for listening to us, and also Rafa and Bruno for the friendship. Thank you all.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Frank, for the invitation. Thanks, Bruno. Thanks, Elder. And I encourage Java developers to take charge of their careers and find their own mentor, because that will massively accelerate their careers.
And which is a nice goal for this new year and will definitely help a lot of people achieve some new goals. Thank you all. Thanks for listening, and see you in the next Foojay podcast.
Give me a Foo, give me a J, give me the friends of OpenJDK.